All right, like I said, top of page 27. Today we're going to talk about midpoint. All right. And we've got two midpoint formulas. We got midpoint on a number line. And when you're finding the midpoint of 2 points, again, two midpoint formulas. We've got one when you're finding a midpoint on a number line. So that would be
Good morning, customers. Coach O is coming live from the front office. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
all right. So on a number line, the formula for midpoint is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divided by 2. So when you add two numbers together and then you divide them by 2, it gives you the average, right? Or the middle. So if you had something like this number line here, and point A was at -10, and point B was at 7, and you were asked to find the midpoint of AB. All right, so in order to find the midpoint of AB, this -10 is our x sub 1, and the 7 is our x sub 2. So our midpoint would be equal to -10 plus 7 divided by 2. And -10 plus 7 is, say again? -3 divided by 2. And what's -3 divided by 2? -1.5. So the midpoint of AB would be at -1.5. And if you had to plot it, you could put it here in the middle, call it M, and its coordinate would be -1.5. So on the number line, or on a number line, add the two coordinates together and divide them by 2. Everybody all right with that? All right. So the second formula that we're going to use for midpoint is down on the bottom of page 27. And now we're talking about on the coordinate plane, or on a coordinate plane. Because on the coordinate plane, everything has an x value and a y value. So we just do the midpoint formula twice. So on the coordinate plane, we say that midpoint is equal to, we take our x sub 1 plus our x sub 2, and we divide it by 2. That gives us the x value at the midpoint. And then we take y sub 1 plus y sub 2, and we divide that by 2. And that gives us our y value at the midpoint. So if we're on the coordinate plane, and we've got a segment that goes from P that's at 2, 8 down to Q that is at 12, 1. And you're asked to find the midpoint of PQ. Now, since we're on the coordinate plane, you're going to need an X and a Y at the midpoint. So just like the distance formula yesterday, let's label these coordinates. So at P, we have an X sub 1 and a Y sub 1. And at Q, we have an X sub 2 and a Y sub 2. So now we take those values and we plug them into the midpoint formula. So our midpoint is going to be at X plus X. So we've got a 2 plus a 12 that we're going to divide by 2. And then we're going to take our Y sub 1 plus our Y sub 2, which is 8 plus 1. And we're going to divide that by 2. So our midpoint is going to be at, what's 2 plus 12? 14 divided by 2. Good. And then our Y midpoint is going to be at 8 plus 1 divided by 2, 4.5. All right, so our midpoint would be right in here somewhere. We could call it M, and it's at 7 and 4.5. Again, it's the sum of the X values divided by 2, comma. All right, that gives you X at the midpoint. And then the sum of the Y values divided by 2. And that gives you the Y value at the midpoint. Everybody all right with that? Anybody need to see another example? One more example? Yeah. On the coordinate plane or on a number line? Coordinate plane. Okay. So let's draw a coordinate plane. Got our X and our Y. I'm going to put a point down here, point A, and it's at -4, -3. And then point B up here, we'll say that it's at 6, 9. So what's the first step, whether we're finding distance or midpoint? Label. So A has an X sub 1 and a Y sub 1. B has an x sub 2 and a y sub 2. So if you're not a big formula person, all right, just think of midpoint means middle. And to find the middle of two numbers, you add them together and divide by 2. So the midpoint for our x's is going to be at -4 plus 6 divided by 2. The midpoint of our y's is going to be at -3 plus 9 divided by 2. So our midpoint is going to be at -4 plus 6. Positive 2 divided by 2. That's 1. -3 plus 9 is 6 divided by 2. 3. Our midpoint is at 1, 3. So 1, 3 would be about here. That's our midpoint, and it's at 1, 3. Better? Add the x's, divide by 2. Add the y's, divide by 2. When you're finding the midpoint, yes. Yes.
Okay, that's kind of what I was confused about.
Yep, when you're finding the midpoint, you're always dividing by 2. Now, if your points are on the coordinate plane, you just have to do it twice. You have to do it once for the x and once for the y. If your coordinates are just on a number line, you just add the coordinates, divide them by 2. You only have to do that once because there's only one midpoint. It's only got one coordinate. It doesn't have an x and a y. All right, so here's your practice for today. Page 32. Do problems 36 through 41. All right, make sure you do all of those problems. Page 32, problems 36 through 41. All right, and we don't have a whole lot of time left in the period today, so just try to get as many of these problems done as you can. If you don't think you're going to finish the problems in class, then take a picture of the problems in the book, and please be sure that you have those 100% complete when you get to class tomorrow.